New update here for Ibrahim, president of Burkina Faso. It appears he is not alone. He is not standing alone. In fact, Russia and China are by his side. The news broke just the other day. Russia has reportedly sent special forces trained with unique skills to Burkina Faso with explicit instructions from President Putin to safeguard the presidency of Burkina Faso, as well as Captain Ibrahim Traore. This development comes at a time when Western powers, led by France, have converged in the Ivory Coast to strategize on an invasion of Burkina Faso, alleging that Captain Ibrahim has exploited Burkina Faso's gold for personal interest. Your thoughts on this? Ladies and gentlemen, fam, it looks like Ibrahim is not alone. Not alone at all. We got an ally for Ibrahim. Russia came in with some special troops. And because of that, we have to drop the beat. Dance with me. Hey, dance with me. Do the top. Shake the rump. Woo! It's not over, ladies and gentlemen. It's not over. He's not alone. Not alone. In fact, we're going to get right into it. This is getting interesting, folks. This is getting interesting. It's not just Russia. It's also China. They are really trying to do the damn thing. Let's bring up more info here.
Captain Ibrahim Traore took over. He strengthened ties with the Russia and China government. Russia has been instrumental in supplying equipment. Military equipment, guns, war equipment to Burkina Faso military. And that's not all. They also supplied military troops to Burkina Faso to help fight against these terrorists.
You see this here? It says Africa and Russia are family. This is shout out to the African Diaspora Network. This was the first place I heard this reported. You guys, this is freaking huge. Freaking huge. This man is trying to save his country. He doesn't want the West to take over his country. He doesn't want to be under their control anymore. There's been over 20 assassination attempts on his life. And who comes in to say, you know what? We're going to try to help protect you. Like to explicitly send in troops to protect him. Because they don't want what happened to Gaddafi to happen to Ibrahim. Russia knows what the West is trying to do. This is why independent media is so important, you guys. Like, this is why all these countries that corporate media want you to believe are the boogeymen, we're the one. It's this country. It's the U.S. government that's terrorizing the entire world. So a lot of people didn't expect this, but here we are.
A very good one, I must say. I'm happy that they are interested in the good of Burkina Faso. President Vladimir Putin came out to challenge the Westerners. He said that anyone who harms or comes after Captain Ibrahim Traore, as reported, is also going after him and his troops. So we have Russia and China troops currently in Burkina Faso to help fight against terrorists and threats, especially in a time like this when everyone is on their toe, when the tension is heightened. I love it. And it was reported that these guys, that's the terrorists, said that they have till June to eliminate Captain Ibrahim Traore. And that is why we have the Russia and China troops down in Burkina Faso to strengthen the military of Burkina Faso and keep everything in check, especially make sure that Captain Ibrahim Traore is safe. What do you have to say about the story?
Yes. Like this is phenomenal, you guys. Like we were just talking about this, right? We were just talking about Ibrahim and Macron and what they were trying to do. And I said this, I'm like, again, for people who say like people should try to fight in their own country, here is someone who is doing that. Ibrahim is fighting in his own country. He's not saying, let's just leave here and let's go somewhere else. No, he wants his people to stay and he wants to stay there. They've tried to kill this man numerous times. And now Russia coming in to help and say, we got your back. That's what being an ally looks like. That's really what that looks like. And I don't know what the U.S. government is going to do with this one, because, the U.S., it's not just Macron. The U.S. government also wants Macron to be there. They want France to take those resources. They want Ibrahim out. They don't want him there, just like they didn't want Gaddafi in Libya. People weren't trying to kill Ibrahim just because. They don't want him there. The United States is really putting itself in an isolationist situation. If you had the chance to watch the interviews that premiered while I was on vacation, this was the thing that continued to come up over and over in all those interviews, that the U.S. is going to be on an island by itself. Other countries are trying to work together. They're trying to build a multipolar world, and the U.S. wants to be a dominant power, continue to dominate these countries, and people aren't dealing with it anymore. They're done. You can see this here. Russia stepping in.
Burkina Faso's move toward Russia was largely influenced by the French retreat from the area, especially in Mali, and the growing discontent with Western meddling in African issues. However, Russia has been more than happy to intervene and provide assistance. Russia has positioned itself as a partner to African regimes seeking independence from Western influence.
This is who they want us to be afraid of. Ladies and gentlemen, please teach your kids and your friends and your family. They want Americans. They want us to fear Ibrahim like they wanted us to fear Gaddafi. And all Gaddafi wanted was to have his country and other countries in Africa not rely on the West anymore, and maybe possibly have their own shit. That's what Gaddafi wanted. The West had a problem with that. You can't succeed on your own. Now you've crossed a line. It's so interesting for me that a country that praises capitalism so much and the government that speaks out against socialism so much seems to have a problem with competition and free market when other countries want to succeed on their own and they don't want to be up under their thumb. All of a sudden, all that competition just goes out the window. Woo! Free market. They want you to fear Ibrahim. They want you to fear. Do you see this? And I'm not here to say Russia's perfect. They're not. I'm not one of those people that thinks Russia's perfect. I don't think China's perfect. I don't think there's any such thing as a perfect country. And there is criticism to go around for all. That being said, they want you to fear Black people. They want you to fear Russia. But Russia is the one that's trying to protect this man who wants to save his country. Excuse me? They want you to fear this guy. Let's continue.
In contrast to Western countries that frequently place restrictions on military aid, Russia's engagement in Burkina Faso aims to establish a long-term strategic alliance in addition to safeguarding Traoré. Russia is establishing itself as a major force in the future of the Sahel by securing its presence there, especially as African countries seek for security options free from political constraints and diversify their relationships. The Russian Special Forces' participation also speaks to the shifting Sahelian dynamics. Russia's strength is increasing while Western nations continue to retreat from the area.
Everybody here see this? Yes. We all see what's happening. This is what the US government fears. This is why they want to go after Russia. This is exactly why. Rashira says black man on business defending his land and people. But the US, and by the way, this is both parties, both political parties, they want you to fear Russia. Okay. Now, for the sake of the Democratic Party, as much as the Democratic Party talks about togetherism and diversity, rah, rah, inclusion, woohoo, the Democratic Party is also guilty of backing colonialism and the killing and removal of diverse people. Gaddafi under Obama. Like, don't get it twisted. The whole diversity and all that kind of the virtue signaling that the Democratic Party does, which I've talked about before, that virtue signaling, they do that to make you think they care about you as a people. How can they care? Let me ask you this question. How can they care about you as a people for black people? How can they care about you as a people when they participate in killing, starving, exploiting people from black countries? But you think they care about you? They don't care about you. That's just a way to keep you in the party. Now, the liberals, they're going to say, well, why don't you say about the Republican Party? Republicans don't say that. Republicans don't pretend that they're not trying to virtue signal the black people. Democratic Party does. I mean, it's so obvious that people are paying attention what's happening. But rah, diversity.
Moscow has been expanding its presence in Africa by providing different regimes who are hesitant to accept Western intervention with military assistance, equipment, and training. Russia is aware of the strategic importance of Burkina Faso, which is situated in the center of the Sahel. By supporting Traoré, Russia is strengthening its position in Burkina Faso and extending its power throughout the region.
That is 100%. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say this now, because we do have to say this, because sometimes people, they're allies, but sometimes they come in and start telling people what to do. All we'll just say is this: continue to be an ally. Just, don't get comfortable and try to come in and start trying to tell them how to do shit. Because sometimes that happens. I've seen it happen in organizing spaces where people come in and they be like, we're here with you in solidarity and support. And then they try to take over, and start telling people what to do. So let's not let that happen. But the solidarity is there. The support is there. They don't have to do this. Russia can just turn the cheek and just say, oh, well, I sure feel sorry for those people in Burkina Faso. Sucks to be them. But they're not doing that. And they don't have to. And I don't care what people say. This dude is straight gangster. Like, when you look at Ibrahim, let's go back. We'll get to the part where he's walking. I don't want to miss that part. We're going to go back to the walk.
Moscow has been expanding its presence in Africa by providing
this part right here. This dude is straight gangster, man. You have to cheer for Ibrahim. You have to cheer for him. You just can't. This guy ain't bowing down to nobody. Nobody. Okay? Macron comes in. He tell Macron, you go bye-bye, okay? You stop taking our resources. You get out of here. Get your bases out of my country. Get your hands off of our resources. This is a strong man. Everyone should be applauding Ibrahim. This is straight up gangster. This is how you're supposed to be. You're supposed to protect your country. You're supposed to protect your people. And he knows that that's a risk on his life. He knows this. They tried to kill him multiple times, and he still say, no, you are not going to take my people. You are not going to exploit my people. Stop taking our resources. That's what this is about. And everyone should applaud him for doing it. This dude, salute Ibrahim. Yes. Kill your Gorgies. That's a good one. This is Sparta. He is out there doing the damn thing. Doing the damn thing. I ain't afraid of nobody. Nobody. He deserves the applause. I wish we had a leader like that here in the US that cared that damn much about the people, wanted to give everybody health care, wanted to take care of the kids, wanted to fix the poverty situation, and actually wanted to do it and did it and not just talked about it because they wanted to get elected. Get out of here. Every time there is a country that wants to do something for their people and actually help their people, and they succeed at helping the people, the West always comes in and says, oh, no, can't have that. You're doing it wrong, especially if it's an African country. Oh, no. Oh my God, they're spreading communism. I was watching it's a really good docuseries right now about Vietnam, and it presents both sides, and I'm seeing a lot of similarities. I'm gonna have to do a deep dive comparing the Vietnam War and the anti-war movement during that time, comparing it to the pro-Palestine movement. I'm going to have to do some comparisons because I'm seeing some similarities there. And I just think, again, like, I want us to push back on the lies that we've been told. These countries would be fine if the West would stay out of them, completely out of them. And then there's China. Now, I want you to see the relationship between China and Burkina Faso. Check this out.
As a landlocked country, Burkina Faso faces significant challenges when it comes to international trade. They're dependent on their coastal neighbors for access to seaports, which adds extra costs and complications to imports and exports. By partnering with China to create a shipping line, Burkina Faso is essentially saying, we're tired of being at the mercy of others for our trade.
So we're talking about trade happening between China and Burkina Faso. We're talking about, right, they shouldn't have to be at the mercy of others for their trade. I mean, it's like if you are a business owner and you decide, you know what, for years, we have bought these glass bottles from said company, and we've been with them for a while, but their prices are increasing. And I don't know, I might want to start buying glass bottles from someone else. Shouldn't you have the right to do that? Shouldn't you have the right to trade with other people? That's the problem with the US government. This goes back to the Wolfowitz Doctrine. The Wolfowitz Doctrine basically states that no other country can be more powerful than the US. This was established decades ago. Like, they're serious about it. So when you hear people promote capitalism and free market and trade, especially politicians, make sure you push back, because they don't even really agree with that either. They agree that the trade should only be done with us, with the United States. Once these countries start trading with Russia and China, and they start to develop and establish a business relationship with other superpowers, then they have a problem. When they develop an economic relationship with other countries that are doing well economically and that can be a competitor for the United States, they don't believe in their own mantra of that either. So just keep that in mind. Capitalism for thee, right?
We're taking control of our economic destiny. But why China? Well, that's where things get really interesting. China has been expanding its influence in Africa for years through its Belt and Road Initiative. This shipping venture is likely part of China's broader strategy to secure resources and expand its economic footprint in Africa.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and say the same thing to China that I said about Russia. China is great that you're doing the trade with Burkina Faso and you're being a partner with them at the same time. Don't come in there and start telling them what to do, right? And you also want to make sure that Burkina Faso doesn't fall into some type of debt, because one of the things that I have been reading about is that some of these countries, some of the countries in Africa that have participated in some type of trade with China, it's like they have a debt to China now, right? Because they didn't have the funds to begin with. And they're like, well, let's be partners. Let's work together. But at the same time, you are accumulating a debt because you are already behind. And China comes in to help, right? So that's something that does need to change. But again, let's not make the mistake of coming in and start telling them how to do stuff. Okay? All right.
For China, it's a win-win. They get preferential access to Burkina Faso's resources, like gold and cotton, while extending their maritime reach into West Africa. Now, let's talk about the potential economic benefits. This partnership could be a game changer for Burkina Faso. Imagine having direct control over your import and export channels. It could lead to lower costs for imported goods, making everything from electronics to machinery more affordable for Burkinabés.
More affordable, and the West does not want that. They don't want this, man. They don't want it. The US doesn't want it. France doesn't want it. They don't want So they have China and France in their corner. Ibrahim has China and France in his corner. So I say this to prove a point. If something happens to Ibrahim, you need to remember who's in his corner. These are the kind of things that, people don't really want to get into, but we got to go there. And then there's Botswana. Ibrahim is having an impact on other leaders in Africa. Recently, Botswana's president, he is joining along with Ibrahim, and he talks about why this idea of democracy is not a thing. Check this out. It's not a thing, he said.
Failed because they didn't have ideas. They did. Maybe even better ideas. They just didn't implement them. Why? Because perhaps they failed to appreciate that the structures that are in place are not properly suited to the attainment of quick action.
I think I misspoke. I meant China and Russia. Sorry. Did I misspeak? China and France. Yeah, China and Russia. Sorry, guys.
So you need to subvert some of these rules and processes unapologetically. And I will do it.
Oh.
From this shocking and unexpected speech, it is clear now that Botswana's newly elected president, Duma Boko, has ignited a firestorm with a speech that challenges the sacred cow of democracy itself.
Oh! He is challenging what democracy really means.
Speaking with unapologetic candor, Boko has joined Burkina Faso's revolutionary leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, in declaring that democracy, far from being Africa's salvation, is a shackle delaying progress.
Yes, it is. And I was so happy to hear this. We have to drop the beat, guys. He has joined Burkina Faso's revolutionary. We got to drop the beat. Here we go one more time. I'm sorry, but we got to do it. This is a big deal. Dance with me. Dance with me. Drop the beat. Beat straight. Woo! I love it. I love it. I told you he's inspiring other people.
Leader Captain Ibrahim Traoré in declaring that democracy, far from being Africa's salvation, is a shackle delaying progress. His words, delivered with the conviction of a man who has seen the system's underbelly, have stunned observers, sparked fierce debate, and raised a critical question. Is Africa's obsession with Western-style democracy a trap set by neo-colonial powers to keep the continent subdued?
Yes. Yes, because what they do, the West does this under the guise of democracy, right? But that's not really what it's about. You see it right now in the Middle East. Why do they continue saying Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East? Israel doesn't even have a constitution, but people believe it just because they say it. That's a trick. The US government, their idea of democracy on a global scale means these countries cowering to the United States. It means these countries allowing the US and other Western countries to have their troops, their military, their bases along their border in their country, stealing their resources, exploiting their people. That's what democracy really means to the US government abroad. It's a sham. It's a joke. They want to keep these countries at bay. They don't want these countries to become too successful, especially the black ones. They don't want this to happen. How dare you? How dare you do well, damn it. It's just a mess.
As a Pan-Africanist journalist, I assert that Boko's comments, inspired by Traoré's unyielding revolutionary vision, mark a turning point, a clarion call for African leaders to break free from the chains of a system that has enriched puppets while impoverishing the masses. Boko's remarks come hot on the heels of equally incendiary comments from Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the 36-year-old revolutionary leader of Burkina Faso, who has become a symbol of defiance against Western hegemony in Africa. Just weeks ago, Traoré addressed his people in a televised speech, unequivocally rejecting democracy as a pathway to development. "We are not in a democracy, we are in a revolution," Traoré proclaimed. "If we have to say it loud and clear here, we are not in a democracy, we are in a popular progressive revolution." Everyone needs to understand this.
That part right there. He is very well aware. He understands it. He gets this. And someone finally, you get to hear it out loud. Everyone's talking about this guy. Even people that I know that aren't even really into geopolitics like that are talking about this guy. This is what people need to hear. It's not a democracy. How is it a democracy? You coming into their country telling them what they got to do. We'll go on a little bit more here.
It's even more surprising that those who are supposed to be intellectuals, who have been to school, can imagine that a country can develop in democracy. That's false. It's not possible to name a single country that has developed in democracy. Democracy is only the end result. We must necessarily go through a revolution, and we are indeed in a revolution.
That part right there. It reminds me of what one of the guys on the TikTok video said from China. And he said, America, he said, you don't need a trade war. What your country needs is a revolution. I think one day we'll get there. I don't know if it will happen like during my lifetime, but I think at one point, it's going to burst. It's definitely going to burst. I'm hearing more people complain about economic despair. I'm seeing the numbers of economic disparity increase. It's going to happen at some point. I just don't know when that would happen. I think that a lot more people would have to hit rock bottom before people say, yo. And you see it now, even politically, right? Like you see how more and more people are becoming registered independents. More and more people have problems with both political parties. You're seeing that more now. I just think it's only a matter of time. But kudos to Ibrahim, who now has Russia and China in his corner. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.